tools. We are going to have small fittings for the pipes. We also have the tools for punching the pipes so we can insert our laterals and to connect it. So this is all a closed system. From the water source to the emitters, we are going to conduct the water through the pipe systems, through the valves, through the filters, using fittings and different tools so we can have at the very end the emitter. The next one, please. Okay, so this is a complete irrigation system. First of all, we are going to have our water source. We have our pump, and we are going to take water out of this water source, out of this pond, into the system. As I said before, this is a complete closed irrigation system. We have our filtration system to remove all the particles that might be harmful for the irrigation system. We have the injection system or the fertigation system here. We are going to have our main valve, our water meter, and after this point, which is called the main control system, we are going to get the water into the system, into the pipes, okay? Here we have more filters, more security filters, and after that we go into our crop, okay? We might have, of course, we are going to have one valve here to control the water into this plot, okay? So we have been talking about the water source, we have been talking about designing the correct dimension for the piping systems. We have been talking about the different components of the irrigation system, the fertigation system, filtration, valves here, safety valves as well, such as the air valves, the water meters into the crop, okay, into the system so we can irrigate. And finally, those are called the laterals, and we are going to have emitters placed at the distance that we are going to define. The next one, please. Okay, another important topic is the maintenance of an irrigation system. On one side, we are going to have preventive actions, and on the other side, we are going to have corrective actions. Preventive actions, the main goal of the preventive actions are to operate the system in optimal conditions. And on the other side, we are going to have corrective actions. But the corrective actions, their main goal is to get the system to work. We already have the problem with the corrective actions, but we don't want to get to corrective actions. That doesn't mean that we are not going to get there. It might happen, but we have to run preventive actions. We have to schedule them, and they have to be frequent. So preventive actions increase the reliability of the components of the irrigation systems, while the corrective actions fix a problem when it has occurred. The next one, please. Okay, so some of the points. What are the most relevant topics in the maintenance for the irrigation systems? First of all, water quality and filtration. As I said before, all particles in the water source that we are going to put into the water system can cause clogs, okay? That doesn't mean that we are not going to irrigate. We have to give the proper treatment to that water source. And they should be, all those particles should be removed before entering the irrigation system. This is the importance of having an irrigation system. And the irrigation, this is the importance of having a filtration system. And this filtration system is going to be as large as the volume required that we are going to enter the system. The next one, please. We have to give maintenance to the filters. We have to check for pressure differences in the filter and run a flush when it is needed. What do I mean when I said a flush? We have to remove, we have to clean the filters so it can increase the reliability of the filter in the system. We have to increase that it is going to, the reliability that it is going to remove all those particles that can be harmful for our emitters. So we have to flush the filters at least once a month, but this is just a suggestion. We are going to flush the filters depending on the water quality. And of course, when we are installing the irrigation system, we are giving all those recommendations to the farmers so they can keep the system at peak performance. The next one, please. We have to monitor the operating pressure. We have to, first of all, set the operating pressure according to the design requirements, and we have to monitor every single day we are operating our system. We cannot operate under the minimum pressure defined at the drip line end. We recommend carrying a manometer or a pressure gauge for pressure checking at the beginning of each irrigation cycle. So every time I run the irrigation, I have to walk around the whole irrigation system. I have to monitor what is the pressure on certain points. I have to understand my system. I have to understand how my system is performing. And we are going to have certain indicators. When we designed a project, we include the required pressure in every single point. We include what is the pressure requirement on a certain valve. And this has to be like a navigation device for us. We have to understand how the system is going to perform using the pressure. For example, what if I have a sudden pressure decrease? So that means that my main line could be broken, that my laterals are broken, or my submains are broken. So we have to check in different points. When we design an irrigation system, no matter, for example, if we have a small irrigation system, we are going to include 5 different points where we are going to measure and monitor the pressure. So what if I have a sudden pressure increase at the filter outlet? For example, we can have a valve that has something inside and we have to check that valve. What if I have a sudden pressure decrease in the submain? Maybe there is a damage and we have to dig. The next one, please. So if I have sudden pressure decreases, we might have leakages. Okay, so leakages can occur in every point from the network. And of course, if I have leakages, we are going to waste the water and we are going to waste the fertilizers if we are injecting the fertilizers into our system. And the system will not be working at the proper pressure, okay? So meaning we are losing water, we are losing resources, and at the end of the day, the plant is not getting the right amount of water that is needed. Or maybe not water at all. And the water calculated to get to the plant doesn't get there, okay? As you can see here in the pictures, we can have water accumulation on the surface where you can see there are no plants. So the water, if we have leakages, the water will go where we don't need it. And we are going to lose a lot of water, like you can see on this picture to the right. Or we don't have enough pressure on the laterals so we can move the water across the pipelines. So it is very important to monitor the system every single day. On the other side, we have to flush the main valve, the main pipes, and also the submain pipes. What does that mean? That from depending on the water quality, depending on the solutions that I am injecting into the water system, we have to flush main and submain lines. Not only when installing a new system, but also after every failure in the line or in the pipe burst. What does that mean? That we have to remove all the debris so it will not clog our system. So as you can see, could you please go back? Thank you. As you can see here in the picture, we are flushing, in this case, I don't know, it might be the main line, it can be a submain, but we have to remove all this debris so we can ensure that the system is working properly with clean water. The next one, please. We can also flush the laterals, and this is not optional. We have to flush our laterals at the beginning of every season. Of course, also flushing drip lines according to the water quality. Of course, we don't want to reach this point, okay? This material, this debris can cause the emitters to clog. So we don't want to get to that point. So this is why we put a stress on maintenance. We have to flush few laterals simultaneously so we can have enough pressure so we can take all the debris out. And of course, we have to flush after every repair in the main lines or in the sub-mains. So this might seem very complex. This might seem not very suitable, but on the other side, this is the way to keep our system running properly. The next one, please. This is the step-by-step what we have to do to flush our laterals. First of all, the dirty water will come out of the lateral, and we have to stop once we see clean water. Okay, just be careful at this point, because some more debris can come out, dirty water again, the contaminants along the line. So this is why we cannot open all the laterals at the same time. We have to open by sets, by small sets. And afterwards, we are going to have clean water. And therefore, we can close our lines again. The next one. So everything that I have been talking about is to achieve that the irrigation system is running efficiently. So we have to conceive the irrigation system as a set of different factors. Of course, ISRATECH is here to help you design, to help you achieve this, not only with designing the irrigation system, but also giving recommendations on how to use it or how to run it properly. We have to ensure that it keeps its peak performance at every single time, flushing the valves, monitoring the pressure, also flushing the filters, so we can keep this running in the most proper way. So this is our objective, to have an irrigation system running efficiently. But to get to this point we have to include different factors, different steps. We have to get the right dimensions. We have to get the right equipment. We have to get the right practices. And we are encouraging all our farmers to achieve efficiency, usage efficiency, not only for the water to be poured into the crop, but also for the fertilizers, because at the end of the day, it means money. And I'm pretty sure that nobody wants to waste money. Nobody wants to waste water. And therefore, we have to keep the irrigation system at its peak performance. So this is the presentation so far. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to go further down into certain details, please raise your hand and we can talk about this. Yes, please.
Is it possible for the participants to get a copy of the presentation by email?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I think that the topics are very complex to distribute them. So we have certain brochures that can outline everything that is here in the presentation. And yes, as a marketing material, we can give them to you. But unfortunately, since the topics are very complex to distribute them, it might not be possible to give the presentation away. Okay. Any other question? Yes?
Okay, so...
Here you have.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. So for those of us who grew up Baka God, we grew up just seeing people planting. Oh, it's going to rain today, or we're in rainy season, so we're just going to plant. You have really solidified the fact now that farming is a science. Thank you very much. So what I want you to do for me is to walk me through the process. I have 10 acres of land, and I want to plant Scotch bonnet pepper. You spoke about several things. You spoke about not just irrigation, but I have to now take into consideration the amount of water the pepper needs. So please help me to understand the service that you offer. What does a consultation look like with you? I'm going to sit with you. You're going to tell me how much water the crop needs for the cycle, and you're going to explain to me the exact irrigation setup. Do I have to pay for the water advice, the amount of water, or is it a package once you're going to install the irrigation, if that's a part of the package? So basically, walk me through what the consultation looks like and what the service looks like if I'm going to plant 10 acres of Scotch bonnet pepper.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. So, first of all, again, we have to answer different questions, okay? What, how much, when, and how frequent we are going to irrigate. So we are going to need information about the land. You have 10 acres. That's great. We are going to need the water source location and what is the amount of water you have. What is the availability of time a day you have to be there checking or to be there operating an irrigation system. And with those factors, we can start designing. We don't charge for the design, okay? And it can come as a package. So once we have this designed, of course, we are going to tell you, you know, you may have enough water or you may not have enough water. What are your water restrictions? So maybe you say, you know, I have, let's say, AgriPark, okay. From NIC, okay, perfect. So if you get water from NIC, remember that you have to ask for the amount of water that you need on the plot, right? And also the pressure. Yes. Perfect. So when you give us that information, we can frame the irrigation system. We can say, okay, if you just have this availability of time and you are going to have this volume of water a day and you are going to have this certain pressure, so we can start with that information as well. Okay? So we prepare the list of materials for that specific project, and I have to say this, for that specific project, for those specific conditions. So we are going to prepare a tailored layout for that single project. Okay? So at the end of the day, you are going to have a quotation with the list of materials, and if ISRATECH is going to install that irrigation system, of course we can give you guidance, we can give you the suggestions on how to use your irrigation system. You are going to have a user manual for that irrigation system, for that specific irrigation system, where you can see and read all the suggestions, how to flush your system, how to give maintenance, how to make repair on your system. Okay? Does that answer your question? Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, sir. I can give you the microphone.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This question pertains to the flushing of a system. I realize that I have a problem that my emitters are blocked after heavy rain because it was open field, and I actually have to go about now replacing almost all of them because I'm moving from open field to greenhouse. But before, so I also have friends who tell me the same thing. So I am wondering if there's any chemical that can be used to assist in flushing these lines for the emitters, or we just, and also after the application of like fertilizers and other chemicals through the drip system, if it's that you have to flush with pure water immediately after, because we have that problem of this blockage.
Thank you. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to use that situation as an example, okay? This is why we have to flush our system. This is why we have to give maintenance to the irrigation system. Because, I'm sorry, what is your name? Sheila. Okay, thank you, Sheila. So, we have, first of all, about the chemical use, we have to understand what is clogging the pipes. Okay, so it's not like, okay, I'm going to use this certain chemical or whatever chemical they are recommending if they are not seeing, if they are not watching what is clogging the pipes. So it might not be suitable, just the use of chemicals. We usually use chemicals for organic clogs. But when it is debris or soil particles, maybe some flushing will be enough. But of course, it will depend on the grade or how severe is the clog. So first of all, we have to understand that. And on the other side, your other question was regarding flushing the irrigation system, flushing the laterals after every injection of fertilizers, right? Okay, yes, you have to use this. You have to wash it. Because it's not like we are going to use only liquid fertilizers. We might use solid fertilizers, and we are going to have a solution. And of course, if we don't flush it, some of the particles may precipitate, and therefore they might clog our system. Okay, so yes, you have to wash your system after the fertigation as well. Okay? Any other questions so far? Okay, just let me say one more thing. We do not recommend a certain chemical for flushing. Okay, what we are suggesting is that you open the laterals at the end of the irrigation system. Okay, I'm not saying the use of the chemical. This will depend, or the certain activity will depend on how severe is the problem and what is clogging the pipes. But so far, I have been saying just open the pipes so you can flush all the debris that may have been precipitating over the days or over the months or you name it, the period of not flushing the pipes. Okay? All right. So, yes, sir.
In one of the slides you had presented, you were talking about drip versus the flood. You were looking at the soil. Yeah. You may not have to go back to that, but what I was going to ask you, does ISRATECH include in their solutions some sort of soil moisture indication or testing?
There is this equipment called tensiometers, and those products can help us monitor what is the tension of the water in the soil, meaning how strong is the retention of the soil for the plant to suck water out of the soil. Okay? So the next one, please. I think it's like 5 slides ahead. One more, please. Keep going. It's where the graph is. I think it's the next one. The next one. One more. And one more. Yeah, go ahead, please. There. Okay, thank you very much. So, yes, how do we understand when we are reaching this point? We have to monitor the humidity levels in the soil, and we can use them. We can monitor. We can know the level with the tensiometer, and of course, we also have tensiometers in our catalog. Tensiometer, tension, like tension meter, tension. Well, tension meters. Okay, and remember, from this graph, we have to avoid reaching the critical point, the permanent wilting point. We have to understand how the water is moving through the soil so it can be available for the plant to reach. I'm sorry, please, you have another question here?
Morning, everyone. I just had one question. regarding the irrigation system, how long do the components usually last, especially if you're in an open field, you know, it's exposed to the elements, sun, you know, all the pipes and fittings. Let's say if you have like a piece of land, you want to do like multiple different crops on it. After each crop, do you have to remove it, and then when you're ready to use it again, you put it back, or you can let it stay there? And you know, how long can I expect it to last?
Yes, thank you. Turn this on. Maybe, yeah, it's on. Sorry. So, very good question. So, I have seen irrigation systems that are like more than 15 or 20 years old. So it will depend not only in how good care you take of your system, but also the maintenance. Okay? I'll put a very quick example on this. Let's talk about the PVC pipes. PVC pipes are not supposed to be above ground because they are not, the resistance to the UV rays, to the sun exposure is kind of low. They might be resistant, but they are not made to be above ground. So our suggestion every single time we are using PVC, it's to have them underground, okay, so we can protect them. You can remove your system if you want, but if the next crop you are going to grow does fit the same irrigation array, you can just leave it there, okay? And you just have to focus on monitoring for a very good maintenance on your system to last. So again, I have seen irrigation systems more than 20 years old, and they keep running, and very good, okay? Yes, sir. And later, I think is, yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. My question is, we use a lot of calcium nitrate because we grow onion and watermelon. But our problem is we always have a lot of the inipers black. Is there you have a special filter that can give us that reduction in that blockage?
No. The short answer is no. We don't have a certain filters. All the filters that we have in our catalog are for physical particles. Okay, so it's a mesh preventing the particles to go through. So when we talk about solutions and chemical reactions, those filters are not suitable because the filters we are putting in the system are for removing physical particles. So in that case, we have to look for another solution, but it is not on the, it is not on the irrigation design. It has to come to a chemical level, okay? Hold on, please. I have another question over there. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, it's not a question, but it's just a follow-up to the gentleman that was asking about the lifespan. I didn't get his name.
About the house?
Yes. So the 3 areas I understand is quality, maintenance, as well as usage intensity, right?
Yes.
So the follow-up is, in terms of the different crops that everyone grows, I'm aware that the water usage is going to differ or varies, right? So I just wanted to understand what he's growing and then the specification that follows in terms of that. Because some person will be growing, let's say, peppers, some person will be growing kale, and depending on the conditions that they develop their system, that typically leads to the lifespan, as well as how you actually protect them. Because most coverage points are different. You mentioned PVCs being exposed to the elements would decrease the lifespan. So I just wanted to know, do you have a system in play in terms of protecting these equipments? Do you have, most persons might not have a storage room per se, but I would just say take that into consideration when applying or just being interested in an irrigation system, because they are delicate, I can tell you, but if you make the preventative actions initially, you will save time as well as money.
Yes. We can provide with a certain or a tailored solution for those conditions. Of course, every single time we are going to make suggestions on how to get the system to run properly every single time. But let's say the more information you give us to understand how you are going to run your irrigation system, the better solution we are going to get. So if you say, okay, I don't want to have my pipe underground, okay, well, let's find another solution. And also ISRATECH can provide that solution as well. We can use PE pipes, for example, and we can lay those pipes above ground, and the lifespan will be also, they will have a large lifespan, and they will not be affected as of PVC, okay? So yes, the more information you can give us to get to a better design, the better solution we get for every single project in those certain conditions, okay? I think Hopeton here has another, oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I would like to revisit this lady who was complaining about clogging of emitters. The fact of the matter is that many times, all right, I'd like to ask her what amount of filtration of the water that she does. Ideally, you should be filtering the water before it arrives at the fertigation station and after you leave the fertigation station. Also, I have seen many growers the fertilizers that you use have to be 100% water soluble. If you go
So that's what I'm asking. And if it is supported by the government or represented by the government or monitored by the government in any way, are you in any project with the government? That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Because it just seems random to me. It was online. I don't know. I'm just asking. Perhaps I don't know, but I'm just asking.
Thank you for your question. To be honest, for that specific question, I'm not the suitable one at this moment to answer, but I will please ask for offer support here.
Hi, good morning. Well, the answer is quite complicated, yeah? I mean, we're helping to the government in Jamaica in whatever request they make us, and we're helping the government all the time with all our know-how. Now, you're asking if we are not the government. Now, the government help. I mean, there is entities of the government that help, and we're working in front of them, giving them the support. Now, important note related to the question before, it's that, I mean, there is different kind of irrigation system with different value and different lifetime expectation. Now, for example, if you buy tape, it's for short time. If you buy a drip lateral, it's for long time. So when we sit with the client before the sale, before when we make the design, part of the things we're doing is that we sit with you, we see your condition, we see what you want, what to grow and how you want to grow, and we decide with you what system is the most accurate to your condition. It can be short time system, it can be long time system, it can be that you need maintenance different than other because of your quality of water, and it can be that you need other thing because of the fertilizer that your crop using is like this. So all those things, when we sit with the client before the design, we see with the client the things and we take the decision together with you, together with the farmer.
Thank you. Okay, so due to time restrictions, I can only accept one more question. So, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Just to expound on what Webster was saying, and it addressed the clogging issues. All right, so when we talk about water quality, there's another layer to that. It's the pH of your water quality, not just how dirty or clean it is. And part of the clogging issues, especially with the folks who are pumping fertilizer into the water, and as Webster said, you need to have filtration before and after your injection points. But hate to sound like a parakeet, but once again, this is a maintenance issue. You have to flush after that. Now, the pH of your water, especially if it's groundwater, it's hard water. And if you leave it in the line, the calcium carbonate becomes hard. So what you need to do is at your fertilization point where you have proportional injectors is to get some acid into that line to change the pH. Changing the pH of your nutrient solution reduce the clogging incidence, okay? But once again, you gotta flush often.
Okay. I'm sorry, we cannot take more questions, but I will be around. So please, if you can get in touch, no worries. I'll be around and I will be free to answer all your questions as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Arturo. Before you step away, Arturo has some gifts because you have been an excellent audience, right? And so he's going to ask you 2 questions. You can be as technical because this is a bright audience, or as simple as you'd want, all right? So ask them 2 questions. The first question.
Okay, let's talk about what are the main questions that we have to answer when we think about an irrigation system. There are 4 questions, okay? Please, the lady in white.
Repeat your question.
Okay, what are the main questions that we have to answer when we are thinking about an irrigation system?
All right, so we have to think about the water density of the land, the
Okay.
amount of water that is absorbed into the land, and how it stays there.
Okay, so it's what? Right. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, so the next question. How are we going to ensure that we are reaching the best level of water in the soil?
Bringing 2 decades of expertise in sustainable agriculture, irrigation technology, and crop productivity, right? Having honed his skills in Israel and Colombia before joining the ISRATECH Limited team back in 2013 as technical director and irrigation specialist. Now, Offer has designed irrigation systems for over 20,000 hectares across diverse terrains, and his work spans greenhouse productions, open field systems, fertigation, and water treatment, making him one of the region's, not just Jamaica, but one of the region's most respected voices in modern farming. You're getting it from a real expert. So I want you to give him a big round of applause as he comes to the stage, please. Mr. Offer Berkovich. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm waiting for the presentation because I don't know to speak if I don't see it. Okay, so you can hear me? I think so. Yeah, okay. We will talk today a bit about greenhouses, about hydroponic system and plastic for greenhouses and mulch plastic. Echo. If you leave me the echo, I have to sing, and I don't believe it's a good idea. Still echo? No? Good. Doesn't work. Can you... Next, please. Good. Okay, so as I say, we talk about first about a different kind of a greenhouse. ISRATECH can provide a different type of greenhouse, depends to the necessity that each client have, depends on the budget that each client have, and the condition of land. Next, please. Mister, please, next. Okay. So first of all, I think, look, when this nice lady over there asked if anyone want greenhouse, everyone say yes. This doesn't make me happy. Really, doesn't make me happy. Why? Because I think that if you go inside greenhouse, you have to know why you want to do it. It's not just I want greenhouse, so I take my palm tree and I put it inside the greenhouse. It's not logic. If you want to go to grow in a greenhouse, you have to know perfect why you want to do it. Because first, greenhouse costs money. The money that the greenhouse costs, the crop have to pay. I mean, it's not me who have to pay, it's not you who have to pay. The crop have to pay. So that means that this crop that you will grow inside the greenhouse, it's a crop that have enough value in the market that if I sell this production, I can pay the greenhouse. If not, what's the business? There is no business there. I'm happy when I sell you greenhouse and the greenhouse can make you profit. If the greenhouse don't make you profit, you're not happy, I'm not happy. The only one that's happy is the company that sell us the greenhouse because they making money anyway. Okay? So, first thing we have to answer is why I want to go inside the greenhouse. Different conditions in the world, part of them are valid. Why you go back? Different conditions in the world, part of them are relevant to Colombia, part of them are not relevant to Colombia. So let's speak first about the relevant. The relevant, it's I want to eliminate the effect of rain. I don't want the rain to falling down on my crop. I don't want water on the leaves. The other one, it's that I don't want effect of wind. Of course, if I'm in a greenhouse, I have less wind, and if my crop don't want it, so part of the solution can be to go inside greenhouse. You know, the crop have friends. If we grow up a very value product, the neighbors, the bad neighbor, not the good neighbor, will also like it. So when it's inside the greenhouse, I don't say that it will avoid him to take it, but it will make the thief a bit harder life. And last but not less important, it's the insect control. Inside the greenhouse, I can protect my crop better against insects. What is not relevant to Jamaica? For example, to minimize the effect of the season. Well, here, summer, winter, it's nearly the same. Me, as a foreigner that I come to live here, to be honest with you, I don't even feel the difference between summer and winter. So here it's less relevant. Possibility to cool the greenhouse or to heat the greenhouse in this area, of course, we're talking cool. Yes, it's relatively possible to do it in Jamaica, but the crop will not pay it. I mean, if I really want a cool greenhouse, the crop, its expenses of electricity, of power, that the crop will not be able to pay. In the world, we grow up in the desert, we grow up in a greenhouse, but remember, desert, it's a dry environment, so I can cool by a wet pad or by adding a cold water, misting or whatever. Here in Jamaica, I cannot do it. If I do it, I will kill the crop because of high humidity. So this is not relevant. Light density control, again, yes, if you grow up ganja, so yes, you can do it. But if you grow a normal crop, if you grow tomato or pepper and this, it cannot pay the electricity bill to use light. So this is also out.